Hey, JFB Bo here, aka Loki, the God of Mischief, and we're about to tackle the third major section of the Loki cosplay, which includes just two things, what I call the bodice and the little breastplate or the bib, what have you. And well, I might be able to actually fit that in a single episode, or maybe not. Let's get down to it. Alright, so this is all our good friend, the supple dark brown vinyl, what the pants were entirely made of. There we go, so there's more here. So obviously I got a lot of that dark brown vinyl, needed it for the pants, needed it for the bodice. It has a very similar structure to the tunic. You know, I've got one flap here. So the left flap, and then a smaller right flap. There you go. That closes like that. But whereas the tunic actually had, a main chest area and a back, so really, like, it had a core. It had a core with some large, panels of fabric. Here, you've got no core. Everything, all of it, it's all straps. It's all straps. Except these very large panels here down the front, they are single large panels. Yes, double layered and all that. But really, I mean, what holds this together? There is nothing that holds this together. It's all straps. If all of this were to come apart, it would be just a collection of vinyl strands floating around in space. So that was extremely challenging. I had to figure out that I needed long, roundy, curvy straps to act as shoulder straps, onto which I had straps attached going here. There we go, coming off of these shoulder straps, meeting here, crisscrossing, especially this front panel here. There you go. They attach to this one shoulder strap, coming here, attaching to each other, going back up the other way, so that they can fasten onto the other strap. And there's yet another strap here to hold them together. So yes, it's all, a lot of, I guess, ingenuity, I guess I can say without any false modesty. And look at that, we've got more crisscrossing, just like the knee pads. So a strip of fabric here, which, by the way, all these strips of fabric are all cut, are all hand cut. I did not find that vinyl pre-cut. It's all it's all manually cut. And so there you go, a strip here, underneath, behind, and then another one here. So all crisscross, same technique as the knee. Most of them are single layered, however, not double layered as I did with the knee. Do I regret that? I don't know. Part of me does. It might actually look a tad better if they were double layered, but it would be much hotter. So yes, taking that into account, I do not regret it. I appreciate a bit more air to breathe. Yes, you'll notice two lighter colored straps. That is obviously on purpose. You can see that the top two straps here are that same light brown patterned vinyl that we've already seen many times. So all of it is the dark brown from the pants, except for those two top strips here. And so yeah, so how does it functionally close? As I've already showed you, we've got one flap here. This button here slips into, into this buttonhole here. And then the other flap has two holes for two buttons. One button here and one button here. The same buttons that I had at the center of my pants. And there you go. Let's do this so I can show you better against the floor. For indeed, we have an almost 90-degree angle here with strips, crisscrossing, Same thing that I did with the knee. I've got holes here, so as I move, as I bend, you can see some depth. I am nuts about that. I really love that. And yes, look at that. This one strip here is completely off kilter. It should be going like this to continue the pattern, but no, it's at a really odd angle, creating this giant triangular hole. And that's how we can see through. And we have some more little rectangular armor. As if we hadn't installed enough of these on the pants, we've got, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 18, oh, sorry, 8. I mean 24. We've got 24 more to install on the bodice. And we can see them thanks to our hole here. So yes, this is very carefully crafted so that you can see through, and we can see the armor through the hole. And look at that. There's the big rectangle that goes all the way down, just like we saw on the tunic. And so that I can have the tunic poke out from the edge here. There's the magnet I told you about. So magnet, and then we've got the green fabric that should, from now on, this is very, very new. I'm not sure that I even saw it in action, but from now on I should finally see my green fabric here. There's a hole here. There's a hole here, and you might have noticed that there was a similar hole in the green tunic at the same place. I didn't draw any attention to that hole because really it was an experiment that serves no purpose anymore. So I wanted to try to see if I needed the hole in the tunic, put it in there, didn't think I needed it after all, and just left it there. I mean, it's too late, it's there. I suppose at best I could just shut it by sewing a zigzag through it, but it's always going to be there. But I don't feel bad about it because this flap will cover it for forever. So yes, it did not need a hole in the green tunic, but I do need it here in the bodice. What is that for? Oh boy. We'll talk about that when we get to the final and fourth piece of the costume, the coat. Spoiler, it's for the belts. The belts that, the whole belt system, I suppose I should call it, that wraps all the way around the shoulder, down my back, and through a bunch of crazy holes and all that, and then through the bodice. Through here. Yeah, so let's talk about that later. Blah blah blah. Yeah, this was not there in my first iteration without a strap linking the two shoulder straps. I felt that I lacked support. The shoulder straps felt loose. They kept flopping all over the place. I felt that I needed to connect them to each other. So I added this back part here. Did it need to be this wide? Probably not. So I suppose it's never too late. I could always just make a nice pointy thing like that, or whatever I want. I could always narrow it down, but until I see a reason to do that, let's leave it as it is. I quite like it. And it's not just a matter of liking it, it's very useful. It gives me that support that I needed. And, oh, well, before I was about to flip it on its back, but before I do that, of course, more of the little doodly dads. More than before. We saw a few of them on the boot covers. We saw a few more around the wrist. Now there's more than ever before. Look at that. But that is still nothing compared to the coat. I repeat, I cannot stress enough how monumental a job that was. Not here, but on the coat. Alright, before I get depressed, just thinking about it, let's flip this bad boy. And I'm going to open it up completely so you can see the back a little better. because the back was me being completely and absolutely anal. You know, I told you how there is no, like, core to this thing. It's all straps. Well, I could have had a single panel here in the back, and I could have had a bit of, you know, in structural integrity, put in the shoulder straps to a single back piece. But, you know, I'm me, and I wanted the back to be as decorative as the front, even though no human being ever, or as Guardian or what have you, will ever see that. The coat, which is, you know, let's face it, the centerpiece of the whole costume, is on top of this and therefore hides this nice beautiful piece. I knew that coming in, I knew that very well, but I just couldn't leave well enough alone, and I made the back also just as decorative, more crisscrossing, and yes, the light brown spotty vinyl is also here. The top two is the same as the top two here, and then more crisscrossing, and some slightly larger piece, and a little pointy tip here, because why not? It's awesome. And yes, they are also open so that they can flop around, and you can see that depth that I quite like. And the angle is obviously much wider here than it is here. Here we've got a nearly 90 degree in front. In the back, it's, I don't know, it's 132. Let's call it that. And I do believe that takes us to the end of the bodice. And you know what? Because I will make a single episode out of this and talk about the breastplate. Alright, well, this is the first time that we are seeing some actual leather. Ooh. Yes, so this came as a single piece. It was about from here to about here, and about as wide, of actual cowhide leather, and it was not terribly expensive. I think about maybe $40 for a piece that big. You obviously do not want a huge cow flank when all you need is this. You know, it's just a small piece like that, $40. That is expensive, given how small it is, but that's still a fairly cheap expense for an important part of your costume. The golden part here is some more Wonderflex, of course. And how did I mold it? Look, it does not need to be on me to have that shape, even off of me. It has that shape. How did I do that? Well, let me tell you about an older costume of mine, costume of Clopin from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He has a mask, and I don't know where I got that idea from, but it's obviously a fantastic idea. That's how you do it. I don't know how I knew that. I don't remember ever watching a tutorial or anything about that. Maybe it just came to me in a dream. You cut the piece of leather that you need. In that case, it was the mask. And then I doused it in water. I left it in my bathtub like overnight, and then I applied it. I firmly applied it to basically I shaped it. That's what I'm trying to say. I shaped it. I applied it to a piece in the shape of what I wanted it to be. And I left it there for several hours as it dried. In the case of my Clopin mask, the piece that had the correct shape was my face. So I literally pressed it against my face, and I just laid down for sleep. So yes, it was a rather uncomfortable night, I'll say that. When I woke up in the morning, the mask was dry, and it was the correct shape. It was hard, it was beautiful. My face was a mess, but yes, it was quite a success. And that's what you do here. This is also what I did. I doused this in water, and then I bent it. I molded it on. Oh, what was it this time? I think it was also my body. I think it was also on my body. I put this over my shoulders, pressed it down, left it there, and there you go. It now has the correct shape. There's also a little rounded, concave shape here for the point of the breastplate, and this was achieved by putting it on a ball. So while it was wet, I also put it on a ball, and it gave it that nice rounded edge. We already talked about the snap, which is a recent addition, held with shoe glue. Oh, where is it? I lost it. Oh, there it is. Okay. And what else is there to say? Well, yes, the gold is more gold paint. Didn't actually use gold leaf here, just the gold paint. And look, I ran little lines there, as you can see here. It's subtle, but you can see that because you can see that on the actual costume. So there you go. I put some colors and some lines because you see that. And how does it shut in the back? I've got one, just one. I've got one snap. Yeah, hold on. Here's my feet there. I've got one snap. Well, these snaps are installed, the proper way. A hole through the leather. And there's another one here, so they are very strongly in place. No glue was used here because I could afford to run it all the way through. So yes, so they are very firmly in place. And hold on just a second. I will bring the tunic back out. Okay, we've got the tunic once again. We've got the breastplate, which is now on it. That's where it goes. And we've got the bodice back there. Now, Loki, see these rounded edges here? Loki has these holes, basically between the edge of the top straps here, between these edges and the rounded edges of the breastplate. You can see behind. You can see the green of the tunic. On my costume, it does that too. Not nearly as much as I would have wanted, but it does it. Clearly the snap that I recently added helps. It really does. It helps a lot. First of all, it helps keep the point here inside the bodice and not poking out, as it happened many times in the past. So that certainly helps. And these holes, very often, see on most of my published pictures, you don't see the hole or barely at all. So there's still some more work to be done here. I'm not sure if I'll be brave enough to actually narrow the strips here. Take some scissors. I dread at the thought of putting scissors to this piece or any pieces of the costume. They put so much work into that. Careful, JF, don't mess up. Don't do something that you can't undo. I could do that, or I could also simply widen the radius of these curves here. Either one of those solutions should work. Am I ever going to be brave enough to actually put any of them into action? Not sure. After next time, or the next time that I actually wear it at a show, at a convention, and look at myself, look at the resulting pictures, I'll see if maybe this is good enough. If I can see the little crescent of green poking through between the breastplate and the bodice. So I'll see if it's good enough as it is now. But anyways, try to do that. Try to actually make your tunic visible, and that's yet another reason why you even need the tunic at all. The tunic needs to be there so that you can see the little green strip here. It needs to be there because personally I attached the sleeves to it. That was a choice. It needs to be there because look, there's green on the inside for all those reasons, but also, most importantly, you can see it between the breastplate and the bodice. So there you go. And I do believe that that now wraps it up for the bodice. I do also want to mention that it used to be longer. My tunic, my bodice used to be longer, but all the way down to the knee. Looking at Loki again, I said, well, you know, it does go down almost to the knee, but not quite. So I stripped about maybe this much of it. Actually, it's still around. Oh, look at that! There it is. Ooh. I can auction this off. Look at that. This used to be here. And the little doodly dads are still there. This is some lost time. This is some wasted time right here before your eyes. I worked myself to the bone applying these little decorative things only to just cut them off. And look, there they are. And now there's some more where they used to be. So there you go. I shortened it. Was this the right move? Do I regret it? I'm gonna say no. But whenever you do something, once again, that cannot be undone, you always wonder, was it the right thing? I don't know. But yes, I'm gonna say that it was good. You can see my knee now, you can see a bit of my thigh, so yes, it's the right move. JF, just convince yourself it is good. This is bad, you don't need this, there you go. And there you go, the perfect, and I do say perfect, bodice right here with the breastplate. And like usual, kneel and subscribe.